Elena Martinez had always been precise with her hands. Growing up on a ranch in Texas, she learned to fix broken machinery, mend fences, and handle tools with the kind of steady confidence that impressed even the toughest cowboys. When she enlisted in the Army at 19, that same steadiness caught the attention of her drill sergeants during basic training. The shooting range at Fort Benning was where Elena discovered something she never knew about herself. While other recruits struggled with their M16s, fumbling with adjustments and missing targets, Elena found herself naturally understanding the relationship between weapon and target. Her shots were clean, consistent, and accurate. Within weeks, her commanding officers began talking about specialized training. The transition to sniper school was both a privilege and a challenge. Elena found herself one of only 3 women in a class of 47 soldiers. The training was intense, demanding not just physical endurance but mental fortitude that would break many seasoned soldiers. Days began before dawn with physical conditioning that pushed everyone to their limits. Then came the technical training: ballistics, wind calculation, range estimation, and weapon maintenance. Elena excelled at the technical aspects, while her classmates struggled with complex mathematical calculations for bullet drop and wind compensation. She absorbed the information like a sponge. Her instructors noticed how she would spend extra hours in the armory, not just cleaning her rifle but studying every component, understanding how each piece contributed to the weapon's overall performance. The other recruits initially kept their distance. Some were genuinely curious about having women in their ranks, while others were openly skeptical. Elena chose not to engage in the politics of it all. She focused on her training, knowing that her performance would speak louder than any words she could offer. She studied harder, trained longer, and pushed herself further than anyone expected. During weapons maintenance sessions, Elena developed a reputation for being meticulous. While others would quickly clean their rifles and move on to other activities, she would spend additional time making minute adjustments, checking and rechecking every component. Her rifle became an extension of herself, and she treated it with the respect and attention it deserved. The academic portion of sniper training challenged even the brightest recruits. Understanding weather patterns, terrain analysis, and target identification required a level of intellectual engagement that surprised many who thought sniping was simply about shooting accurately. Elena discovered she had a natural aptitude for reading environmental conditions and making the split-second calculations that could mean the difference between mission success and failure. Her quiet confidence began to earn respect from some of her fellow trainees. During group exercises, they started seeking her input on technical questions. Elena was always willing to help, sharing her knowledge without making others feel inferior. She understood that in combat situations, the success of the team mattered more than individual recognition. As weeks passed, Elena's reputation grew among the instructors as well. She consistently scored in the top percentile during written examinations and practical exercises. Her ability to remain calm under pressure impressed seasoned veterans, who had seen countless recruits crack under the intensity of the program. The physical demands of sniper training tested every recruit's limits. Long-distance movements while carrying heavy equipment, remaining motionless in uncomfortable positions for hours, and maintaining focus despite fatigue and discomfort eliminated many candidates. Elena's ranch upbringing had prepared her for physical hardship in ways that surprised even herself. During camouflage and concealment training, Elena demonstrated an intuitive understanding of how to blend into natural environments. Her patience, developed through years of hunting with her father, served her well during exercises that required remaining hidden for extended periods while observing targets. The psychological aspects of sniper training were perhaps the most challenging. Understanding the weight of responsibility that comes with precision shooting, especially in combat situations, required a level of mental maturity that not all recruits possessed. Elena approached these discussions with the seriousness they deserved, recognizing that the skills she was learning would one day be applied in life-and-death situations. Her methodical approach to learning impressed instructors who had seen too many recruits try to rush through training without truly understanding the fundamentals. Elena asked thoughtful questions, took detailed notes, and spent extra time practicing techniques until they became second nature. As the training program progressed, Elena began to stand out not just for her technical skills but for her leadership qualities. She helped struggling classmates without being asked, shared equipment when others forgot theirs, and maintained a positive attitude even during the most challenging exercises. The day arrived when recruits would be assigned to advanced training phases based on their performance and aptitude. Elena had consistently demonstrated excellence across all areas of evaluation. Her instructors recognized that she possessed the rare combination of technical skill, mental toughness, and emotional stability required for the most demanding sniper assignments. Standing in formation that morning, Elena felt the weight of her accomplishments and the responsibility that lay ahead. She had proven herself among some of the military's most elite trainees, but she knew that real challenges were just beginning. The quiet confidence that had carried her through months of training would soon be tested in ways she could only imagine. The advanced sniper training facility was unlike anything Elena had experienced before. Located in the mountains of Colorado, the terrain presented challenges that would test every skill she had developed during basic sniper training. Rocky outcroppings, dense forests, and elevation changes created a natural laboratory for advanced marksmanship. Techniques. Elena's new instructor team consisted of battle-hardened veterans who had served multiple deployments in Afghanistan and Iraq. Master Sergeant Thompson, the lead instructor, had a reputation for being demanding but fair. He had trained some of the military's most successful snipers, and his standards were impossibly high. From the first day, he made it clear that advanced training would separate the truly exceptional from those who were merely competent. The curriculum at advanced training went far beyond basic marksmanship. Elena found herself learning about advanced surveillance techniques, urban warfare tactics, and specialized equipment that pushed the boundaries of what she thought possible. Night vision technology, thermal imaging, and precision instruments that could calculate atmospheric conditions with scientific accuracy became part of her daily routine. Physical conditioning at this level was brutal. Elena and her fellow trainees would carry 60-pound packs across mountain terrain, then be expected to make precise shots after hours of grueling movement. The training simulated the exhaustion and stress of real combat situations, where snipers might need to perform at their peak after days of limited sleep and physical hardship. Elena's natural talent for reading environmental conditions served her well in the mountain environment. Wind patterns at altitude were complex and unpredictable, requiring constant adjustment and recalculation. She developed an intuitive feel for how weather affected bullet trajectory at extreme distances, consistently outperforming classmates who relied solely on instruments and calculations. The psychological training intensified significantly. Elena participated in scenarios that simulated combat stress, including loud noises, time pressure, and simulated enemy fire. The instructors wanted to ensure that their graduates could maintain precision and decision-making, ability under the most challenging circumstances imaginable. One of the most difficult aspects of advanced training was learning to work with spotters. Elena was paired with David Chen, a communications specialist who had requested sniper training after 2 deployments as a radio operator. David was technically proficient but lacked Elena's natural shooting ability. Learning to trust someone else's observations and calculations while maintaining responsibility for the shot required a level of teamwork that challenged both of them. Elena's reputation for meticulous weapon maintenance continued to serve her well. The precision rifles used in advanced training were incredibly sophisticated instruments that required constant attention and adjustment. Elena would spend hours after formal training sessions ended, fine-tuning her equipment and ensuring that every component was functioning perfectly. The instructors began assigning Elena additional responsibilities, recognizing her technical expertise and leadership potential. She was asked to assist with equipment maintenance for the entire class and to mentor newer students who were struggling with technical concepts. Elena embraced these responsibilities, understanding that teaching others helped reinforce her own knowledge. Advanced training included urban warfare scenarios that presented unique challenges. Shooting from elevated positions in simulated city environments required different techniques than the open terrain Elena had mastered earlier. Building structures created wind tunnels and deflection patterns that affected bullet trajectory in unexpected ways. Elena approached these challenges with the same methodical intensity she brought to every aspect of her training. The academic requirements at advanced training were extensive. Elena studied physics, meteorology, and ballistics at a level that rivaled college coursework. She learned to calculate complex mathematical equations quickly and accurately under pressure, understanding that in combat situations, there would be no time for extended calculations or second-guessing. Elena's performance during live-fire exercises consistently impressed the instructors. She demonstrated the ability to make precise shots at distances that challenged even experienced snipers. More importantly, she showed the judgment to know when not to take a shot, understanding that discretion was often more valuable than marksmanship ability. The emotional toll of advanced training was significant. Elena found herself questioning whether she was prepared for the realities of combat, where her skills would be used against human targets rather than paper and steel. The instructors addressed these concerns directly, helping trainees understand the moral and ethical responsibilities that came with their specialized skills. As advanced training progressed, Elena began to understand that becoming an elite sniper required more than just shooting ability. She needed to be an intelligence gatherer, a survivalist, a mathematician, and a decision-maker all at once. The complexity of the role was both intimidating and exciting. The final phase of advanced training involved extended field exercises that lasted for weeks. Elena and her fellow trainees were dropped into remote locations with minimal supplies and expected to complete complex missions while avoiding detection by opposing forces. These exercises tested every skill they had developed and pushed their endurance to absolute limits. Elena's performance during these final exercises confirmed what her instructors had suspected throughout the program. She possessed the rare combination of technical skill, mental toughness, and emotional stability that defined truly exceptional snipers. Her ability to remain calm under pressure and make sound decisions in challenging circumstances marked her as someone who would excel in combat situations. Standing at graduation from advanced training, Elena felt a mixture of pride and apprehension. She had achieved something that few soldiers ever attempted, and even fewer completed successfully. The skills she had developed represented years of intensive training and personal sacrifice. Soon those skills would be tested in the ultimate arena, actual combat operations where lives would depend on her precision and judgment. The transport aircraft's engines hummed steadily as Elena gazed out the small window at the desert landscape below. Afghanistan stretched endlessly in all directions, a harsh terrain of mountains and valleys that would become her home for the next 12 months. This was her first deployment as a fully qualified sniper, and despite years of training, nothing could have fully prepared her for the reality of stepping into an active war zone. Forward Operating Base. Shank was a sprawling complex of concrete, barriers, prefabricated buildings, and defensive positions carved into the mountainous terrain of Logar Province. Elena arrived with Delta Company's 2nd Battalion as part of a specialized sniper team that would provide overwatch and reconnaissance support for infantry operations. The base buzzed with constant activity, helicopters landing and taking off, convoys preparing for missions, and soldiers maintaining equipment and planning operations. Elena's team consisted of 4 snipers and their spotters, led by Staff Sergeant Marcus Williams, a veteran of 3 previous deployments who had earned his reputation through successful missions across Iraq and Afghanistan. Williams was known for his calm demeanor under fire and his ability to make split-second decisions that saved lives. He took Elena under his wing, understanding that despite her exceptional training, combat experience could only be gained through actual operations. The living conditions at FOB Shank were Spartan, but functional. Elena shared quarters with 3 other soldiers in a small prefabricated unit that provided basic protection from the elements. The accommodations were cramped, with barely enough room for personal belongings and essential gear. Privacy was non-existent, and the constant noise of military operations made restful sleep difficult. Elena's first week at the base was spent acclimating to the environment and studying intelligence reports about the surrounding area. The mountainous terrain of Logar Province was known for insurgent activity, with enemy fighters using the rugged landscape to their advantage. Understanding local geography, weather patterns, and enemy tactics would be crucial for successful sniper operations. The weapons and equipment available at FOB Shank were more advanced than anything Elena had used during training. Her primary rifle was a Barrett M82A1, a 50 caliber precision weapon capable of engaging targets at extreme distances. The rifle's weight and power required significant adjustment from the lighter weapons she had trained with, but Elena adapted quickly to its characteristics. Daily routines at the base included physical training, equipment maintenance, intelligence briefings, and mission planning. Elena discovered that combat deployments involved long periods of preparation and waiting, punctuated by intense periods of action. The psychological challenge of maintaining readiness during extended periods of inactivity was something training had only partially addressed. Elena's first mission came 3 weeks after her arrival. Intelligence reports indicated insurgent movement in a valley approximately 10 kilometers from the base. Her team was tasked with establishing an observation post on a ridgeline overlooking the suspected area and providing reconnaissance information to command elements. The mission would last 72 hours and would be Elena's first extended field operation in a combat zone. The movement to the observation post took place under cover of darkness. Elena and her team hiked through treacherous mountain terrain, carrying heavy equipment and supplies for the 3-day mission. The physical demands were intense, but Elena's training had prepared her well for the challenge. More difficult was managing the anxiety and excitement of knowing that she might encounter enemy forces for the first time. Establishing the observation post required careful selection of position and meticulous attention to camouflage and concealment. Elena worked with her spotter to create a hide that would provide clear fields of observation while keeping them invisible to enemy forces. The position offered commanding views of the valley below, with sight lines extending several kilometers in multiple directions. The first day of observation passed without significant activity. Elena learned that combat operations often involved long hours of careful watching and waiting, scanning terrain for any sign of enemy movement or suspicious activity. The mental discipline required to maintain focus during extended periods of observation was challenging, requiring constant vigilance despite the monotony. On the second day, Elena's spotter detected movement in the valley below. Through high-powered optics, they observed a group of armed individuals moving along a trail approximately 1 kilometer away. Elena's heart rate increased as she realized this was her first potential engagement with enemy forces. Following established procedures, they reported the observation to their command element and requested guidance on engagement criteria. The command's response authorized observation and tracking, but specified that engagement was only authorized if the individuals demonstrated hostile intent toward coalition forces. Elena adjusted her rifle and tracked the group through her scope, ready to engage if necessary while hoping the situation would resolve without violence. The individuals eventually disappeared into terrain that blocked observation, and no engagement occurred. Elena's first mission concluded successfully without shots being fired, but the experience provided valuable lessons about the realities of combat operations. She learned that successful sniper operations often involved gathering intelligence and providing situational awareness rather than engaging targets. The psychological pressure of being responsible for potentially lethal decisions in ambiguous situations was more intense than any training scenario. Returning to Fob Shank after her first mission, Elena felt a mixture of relief and accomplishment. She had successfully completed her first combat operation and had performed well under the pressure of real-world conditions. Staff Sergeant Williams praised her performance, noting her professionalism and adherence to rules of engagement during a potentially volatile situation. The weeks following Elena's first mission established a pattern of regular operations that gradually built her experience and confidence. Some missions involved providing overwatch for infantry patrols, while others focused on reconnaissance and intelligence gathering. Each operation presented unique challenges and learning opportunities that continued to develop her skills. Elena began to understand that successful snipers needed to be more than just accurate shooters. They needed to be patient observers, careful analysts, and reliable team members who could be trusted with life-and-death decisions. The weight of that responsibility was both humbling and motivating, driving her to continue improving her skills and knowledge. As her first deployment progressed, Elena earned the respect of her teammates and fellow soldiers through consistent performance and professional behavior. She had successfully transitioned from trainee to combat experienced sniper, ready for whatever challenges lay ahead in the unforgiving landscape of Afghanistan. Sergeant Jake Morrison had been deployed to Afghanistan 4 times in 6 years. His weathered face and confident swagger told the story of countless missions and countless enemies engaged. Morrison was the kind of soldier who had seen everything and believed he understood warfare better than anyone around him. When he arrived at Fobshank as part of a unit rotation, his reputation preceded him. 37 confirmed kills and a collection of commendations that impressed even seasoned veterans. Morrison's arrival changed the dynamics at the forward operating base. His experience was undeniable, but his attitude toward newer soldiers was often dismissive and condescending. He had little patience for what he considered theoretical knowledge that hadn't been tested in real combat situations. Morrison believed that classroom training and shooting ranges could never truly prepare someone for the realities of war. Elena first encountered Morrison during a joint briefing for an upcoming operation. Several sniper teams would be working together to provide overwatch for a large-scale infantry movement through a valley known for insurgent activity. As the briefing concluded, Morrison approached Elena with a smirk that immediately put her on edge. "So you're the rookie everyone's been talking about," Morrison said, looking Elena up and down with obvious skepticism. "Heard you did real well in sniper school. Got all the instructors impressed with your fancy shooting and technical knowledge." His tone carried a mixture of amusement and derision that made Elena's jaw tighten. Elena maintained her composure, understanding that Morrison was testing her reaction. "I try to stay prepared and focused on the mission," she replied calmly. "I'm looking forward to working with experienced soldiers like yourself." She refused to take his bait, knowing that any defensive response would only encourage his challenging behavior. Morrison's reputation for being difficult with new soldiers was well known throughout the base. He had a particular problem with soldiers who hadn't yet proven themselves in direct combat situations. His belief was that until someone had faced life-and-death situations multiple times, their training and qualifications were meaningless theoretical exercises. The upcoming mission would involve multiple sniper teams establishing overlapping fields of fire across a valley where intelligence reports suggested significant insurgent activity. Elena's team was assigned to a ridge position that would provide long-range coverage of potential escape routes. Morrison's team would take a position approximately 1 kilometer away, covering different approach routes into the valley. During the pre-mission equipment checks, Elena followed her usual routine of meticulously inspecting and adjusting her rifle. She cleaned every component, checked all optical equipment, and made minute adjustments to ensure perfect accuracy. This process typically took Elena longer than other soldiers, but her attention to detail had become legendary among her teammates. Morrison observed Elena's preparation routine with growing amusement. He watched as she carefully adjusted her scope settings, verified her zero, and double-checked her ballistic calculations for the expected engagement distances. To Morrison, this level of preparation seemed excessive and indicative of someone who lacked confidence in their abilities. "Look at the rookie," Morrison announced loudly enough for nearby soldiers to hear, "spending an hour adjusting a rifle that was probably zeroed perfectly yesterday. Must be nice to have all that time for perfectionist nonsense when you're not busy, actually. Fighting wars." His comment drew chuckles from some of the more junior soldiers who were eager to align themselves with the experienced veteran. Elena continued her preparations without acknowledging Morrison's comment. She understood that he was trying to undermine her confidence and establish dominance within the group. Her father had taught her that the best response to bullying was consistent performance and professionalism. She would let her actions speak louder than any words. Staff Sergeant Williams observed the interaction with growing concern. He had seen Morrison's behavior before and knew that it could create dangerous tensions within operational teams. However, he also understood that Elena needed to handle the situation herself to earn Morrison's respect. Military hierarchies often required individuals to prove themselves through performance rather than intervention from authority figures. The mission launch took place before dawn, with teams moving to their assigned positions under cover of darkness. Elena's team successfully established their observation post and began the methodical process of scanning assigned sectors for enemy activity. The position offered excellent visibility across the valley, with clear sight lines extending beyond 2 kilometers. Morrison's team took longer to reach their assigned position due to more difficult terrain. When they finally established their observation post, Morrison immediately began radio communications that revealed his frustration with the challenging movement. His complaints about the terrain and position assignment were unprofessional, but not unusual for someone with his level of combat experience. As the morning progressed, both teams maintained careful observation of their assigned sectors. Elena's methodical scanning technique and patient attention to detail proved valuable as she identified several areas of potential concern that might have been missed by less careful observers. Her reports to the command element were precise and professional, providing exactly the type of intelligence needed for mission success. Morrison's team also provided valuable intelligence, but his radio communications were often informal and lacking the precision that Elena demonstrated. His experience allowed him to make quick assessments of tactical situations, but his reports sometimes lacked the detail that commanders needed for decision-making purposes. The first significant contact occurred when Elena identified armed individuals moving through her sector at a distance of approximately 800 meters. The individuals were carrying weapons and moving in a tactical formation that suggested hostile intent. Elena's initial report was calm and detailed, providing exact locations and descriptions that allowed command elements to track the movement. Morrison's response to Elena's report was immediate and dismissive. Probably just locals carrying hunting rifles, he transmitted over the radio. Rookies getting excited about nothing. I've seen this 100 times before. His comment undermined Elena's professional assessment and demonstrated his unwillingness to take her observations seriously. Elena maintained her position and continued tracking the individuals, providing updated reports as they moved through the valley. Her detailed observations and precise location data proved valuable as other intelligence sources confirmed that the individuals were indeed hostile forces moving toward coalition positions. As the situation developed, it became clear that Elena's initial assessment had been accurate and that Morrison's dismissive response had been both unprofessional and potentially dangerous. The stage was set for a confrontation that would test both soldiers' skills and judgment in ways that would define their professional relationship and Elena's standing within the unit. The tension between Elena and Morrison reached a breaking point during the third day of the Valley observation mission. Intelligence reports had confirmed significant insurgent activity in the area, and both sniper teams were maintaining heightened alertness. Elena had successfully identified and tracked multiple groups of armed individuals, providing valuable intelligence that had prevented coalition forces from walking into potential ambushes. Morrison's frustration with Elena's success was becoming increasingly obvious to everyone in their operational area. His radio communications had grown more sarcastic and dismissive with each accurate report Elena provided. The veteran sniper seemed unable to accept that someone with less combat experience could demonstrate superior observational skills and tactical awareness. Elena was silently adjusting her rifle scope when Morrison's voice crackled through the radio with unmistakable mockery in his tone. "Hey, rookie," he transmitted, deliberately using an open frequency that other teams could monitor. "I've got a real challenge for you down here. See if you can hit the rock outcropping at the base of the cliff face, about 1,200 meters southwest of your position." Elena looked through her scope toward the area Morrison had described. The target he was suggesting was a small rock formation that would be difficult to identify precisely at that distance. More importantly, firing at arbitrary targets would violate operational security protocols and potentially reveal their positions to enemy forces. Elena understood immediately that Morrison was trying to manipulate her into making a mistake that would undermine her credibility. "Try hitting this, rookie," Morrison continued, his voice dripping with condescension. "Let's see if all that fancy. Training translates to real-world shooting when you're not on a nice safe training range with perfect conditions." The challenge was clearly intended to embarrass Elena in front of the other soldiers monitoring the radio. Frequency Elena's spotter, Corporal Davis, looked at her with concern. He understood the dynamics of what was happening and recognized that Morrison was trying to provoke Elena into doing something professionally inappropriate. "Don't take the bait," Davis whispered. "He's trying to make you look bad by getting you to break protocol." Elena felt her anger rising but forced herself to remain calm and professional. She understood that Morrison's challenge was designed to put her in an impossible situation. If she refused to take the shot, He would claim she lacked confidence in her abilities. If she took the shot, she would be violating operational procedures and potentially compromising mission security. "Sergeant Morrison," Elena responded calmly over the radio, "I'm maintaining observation of my assigned sector per mission orders. Taking unnecessary shots would compromise operational security and potentially reveal our positions to hostile forces." Her response was professional and appropriate, demonstrating her understanding of proper tactical procedures. Morrison's laughter came through the radio clearly. "Listen to the textbook, warrior," he said mockingly. "Always worried about procedures and protocols. Real combat isn't about following rulebooks, rookie. It's about having the confidence to take the shot when it matters." His response revealed his fundamental misunderstanding of professional military conduct. The exchange was being monitored by Staff Sergeant Williams at the base command post. Williams had been growing increasingly concerned about Morrison's unprofessional behavior and its potential impact on mission effectiveness. He understood that Morrison's actions were not only inappropriate, but potentially dangerous to operational security. Elena continued her methodical observation of the assigned sector, refusing to be drawn into Morrison's unprofessional challenge. Her focus remained on mission accomplishment and the safety of coalition forces in the area. She understood that responding to Morrison's provocation would only encourage further inappropriate behavior. Morrison's frustration with Elena's professional response became evident in his subsequent radio transmissions. "Typical academy-trained soldier," he muttered, apparently forgetting that his radio was still transmitting. "All theory and no practical experience. Probably couldn't hit the broadside of a barn under real pressure." Elena's jaw tightened as she listened to Morrison's continued disparagement of her abilities and training. She had worked incredibly hard to earn her position and had consistently demonstrated competence and professionalism throughout her deployment. Morrison's attacks were personal and unwarranted, based more on his own insecurities than on any legitimate assessment of her capabilities. Corporal Davis could see Elena's frustration building despite her professional demeanor. "He's trying to get under your skin," Davis said quietly. "Don't let him succeed. You've proven yourself through your performance, not through responding to his playground challenges." Davis understood that Elena's reputation would be better served by maintaining her professionalism than by engaging in Morrison's games. The situation escalated when Morrison transmitted another challenge over the radio. "Tell you what, rookie," he said with obvious satisfaction in his voice. "Since you're too scared to take a real shot, why don't you just stick to calling out targets for the real snipers to handle? Maybe someday you'll develop the confidence to actually pull the trigger when it matters." Elena's anger finally reached its limit. Morrison's challenge had crossed the line from unprofessional teasing to direct questioning of her courage and competence. She understood that allowing his comments to go unanswered would undermine her credibility with other soldiers and potentially affect her ability to function effectively as part of the team. "Sergeant Morrison," Elena transmitted clearly and calmly, "I've successfully identified and tracked multiple hostile targets during this mission while maintaining proper operational security. My focus remains on mission accomplishment rather than proving myself through inappropriate actions that could endanger coalition forces." Elena's response was professional and measured, but it carried an unmistakable edge that indicated her patience was exhausted. She had successfully resisted Morrison's attempts to provoke her into unprofessional behavior while making it clear that his assessment of her abilities was both incorrect and inappropriate. Morrison's next transmission revealed his surprise at Elena's direct response. Well, he said with forced casualness. "Looks like the rookie has some fight in her after all. Maybe there's hope for you yet, Academy girl." His attempt to maintain his mocking tone was less convincing than before, suggesting that Elena's professional confidence had begun to undermine his attacks. The confrontation had reached a critical point where both soldiers' reputations and professional relationships were at stake. Elena had successfully resisted Morrison's attempts to provoke her into unprofessional behavior, but the underlying tension between them remained unresolved. The situation would require resolution that addressed both Morrison's inappropriate conduct and Elena's need to establish her credibility within the unit. Staff Sergeant Williams realized that intervention was necessary to prevent the situation from further deteriorating and potentially affecting mission effectiveness. The confrontation between Elena and Morrison had revealed fundamental problems that needed to be addressed through proper command channels rather than continued radio exchanges that were compromising operational security and unit cohesion. Elena's opportunity to definitively prove her capabilities came sooner than anyone expected. Intelligence reports indicated that a high-value target would be moving through the valley within the next 24 hours. The target was a senior insurgent leader, responsible for coordinating attacks against coalition forces throughout the region. This would be the most important mission Elena had been assigned since her deployment began. The mission briefing took place in the command center at FOB Shank, with multiple units coordinating their efforts to ensure mission success. Elena's sniper team would be positioned to provide overwatch and potential engagement opportunities if the target appeared within their sector. Morrison's team would cover a different approach route, creating overlapping fields of fire that would maximize the chances of successful engagement. Staff Sergeant Williams had addressed the tension between Elena and Morrison privately before the mission briefing. He made it clear that personal conflicts would not be tolerated during operational missions, and that both soldiers were expected to perform their duties professionally, regardless of their personal feelings. The stakes were too high for personal disagreements to interfere with mission effectiveness. The target area was a narrow valley surrounded by steep mountainous terrain that provided excellent observation positions for sniper teams. Intelligence indicated that the high-value target would be traveling with a small security detail along a route that had been used previously by insurgent forces. The timing of the movement was uncertain, requiring sniper teams to maintain extended observation periods. Elena's team moved into position during the early morning hours, establishing their observation post on a ridge that provided commanding views of the suspected route. The position was approximately 200 meters from the anticipated target area, well within the effective range of Elena's rifle, but requiring precise shooting under potentially challenging conditions. Morrison's team took a position on the opposite side of the valley, approximately 800 meters from the target route. Morrison had argued during mission planning that his closer position and greater experience made him the primary shooter for the mission. Elena's team would provide backup coverage and intelligence support if needed. The first 12 hours of observation passed without significant activity. Elena maintained her methodical scanning pattern, carefully examining every area where enemy forces might appear or take cover. Her patience and attention to detail had become legendary among her fellow soldiers, and this mission would test those qualities to their limits. Morrison's radio communications during the extended observation period revealed his growing impatience with the lack of target activity. His transmissions were frequent and often unnecessary, potentially compromising operational security. Elena maintained radio discipline, transmitting only when she had significant information to report. Late in the afternoon, Elena detected movement in her assigned sector that immediately caught her attention. Through her high-powered scope, she observed several individuals moving carefully along a trail that matched intelligence descriptions of the expected route. The individuals were maintaining tactical formations and appeared to be conducting security procedures consistent with protecting a high-value target. Elena's initial report was calm and precise, providing exact locations and detailed descriptions of the individuals she was observing. Her spotter confirmed the observations and began calculating range and environmental factors that would affect any potential engagement. The command element acknowledged the report and requested continued observation and updates. Morrison's response to Elena's report was skeptical. "I don't see anything in my sector," he transmitted. "Are you sure you're not seeing locals or farmers?" His dismissive tone suggested that he doubted Elena's assessment. Despite her track record of accurate observations throughout the deployment, Elena continued tracking the group as they moved through her sector, providing updated reports that painted a clear picture of their movement and composition. As the group reached a clearing approximately 100 to 300 meters from Elena's position, she was able to positively identify the high-value target based on physical descriptions provided during the mission briefing. "Target confirmed," Elena transmitted calmly. "High-value target positively identified in the clearing at grid coordinates." She provided precise location information that would allow command elements to coordinate the engagement. Her heart rate remained steady despite the significance of the moment. The target was moving through an area that would bring him within range of Elena's position, but outside of Morrison's engagement envelope. Elena's longer-range shot would be more challenging, but it was the only opportunity to engage the target before he moved into terrain that would provide cover and concealment. Command authorization for engagement came quickly. "Take the shot when ready," came the transmission from the operations center. Elena acknowledged the order and began her final preparations for what would be the most important shot of her career. Elena's shooting position was solid, with her rifle supported and her body positioned to minimize movement during the shot. Her spotter provided final range and environmental data, confirming the calculations Elena had been making throughout her observation. Wind conditions were minimal and visibility was excellent. Through her scope, Elena could see the target clearly as he moved across the clearing. The range was 1,340 meters, requiring precise holdover calculations and perfect execution. Elena controlled her breathing and began the careful trigger squeeze that would determine mission success or failure. Morrison's voice crackled through the radio just as Elena was preparing to fire. "Rookie, you sure you can make that shot?" he asked with obvious skepticism. "That's a long way for someone without much combat experience. Maybe you should wait for a closer opportunity." Elena ignored Morrison's comment and focused on her shot preparation. She had trained for situations exactly like this, and her confidence was based on countless hours of practice and successful engagements during her deployment. The technical aspects of the shot were well within her capabilities. Elena's shot broke cleanly, the rifle's recoil absorbed smoothly by her practiced stance. Through her scope, she watched as the .50 caliber round traveled across the valley in what seemed like slow motion. The ballistic trajectory was perfect, accounting for distance, wind drift, and elevation changes with mathematical precision. The impact was immediate and decisive. The high-value target dropped instantly, confirming a successful engagement at one of the longest ranges Elena had ever attempted in combat. Her spotter called out, "Target, down," as other members of the insurgent group scrambled for cover in the rocky terrain. Morrison's radio remained silent for several long seconds after Elena's successful shot. When he finally transmitted, his voice carried a mixture of surprise and grudging respect. "Nice shot, Martinez," he said simply, using her last name for the first time instead of his usual rookie designation. Elena felt a surge of satisfaction, but maintained her professional composure. "Target neutralized," she reported to the command element, continuing observation for additional threats. Her focus remained on the mission, scanning for other hostile forces that might pose threats to coalition operations. The successful engagement had immediate tactical benefits beyond eliminating the high-value target. The remaining insurgent forces in the area scattered quickly, abandoning their positions and fleeing toward terrain that would provide better cover. Elena continued tracking their movement, providing intelligence that would help coalition forces pursue the fleeing enemies. Command elements praised Elena's performance during the mission debrief, noting the precision of her shot and the professional manner in which she had conducted the engagement. The successful elimination of the high-value target would significantly disrupt insurgent operations in the region and potentially save coalition lives. Morrison approached Elena after the mission debrief with an expression that was very different from his previous confrontational demeanor. "That was solid shooting," he said quietly, away from other soldiers. 1,300 meters in combat conditions isn't easy for anyone, regardless of experience level. Elena accepted Morrison's acknowledgement without gloating or making reference to his previous challenges. "Thank you, Sergeant," she replied simply. "I'm glad the mission was successful." Her response demonstrated the maturity and professionalism that had characterized her performance throughout the deployment. The successful mission marked a turning point in Elena's relationship with Morrison and her standing within the unit. Word of her exceptional shot spread quickly through the base, earning her respect from soldiers who had previously been skeptical of her abilities. Her reputation was now based on proven combat performance rather than just training credentials. Morrison's attitude toward Elena changed dramatically following the mission. He began seeking her input on technical matters and included her in informal discussions about tactics and equipment. The veteran sniper seemed to recognize that Elena's methodical approach and attention to detail were strengths rather than weaknesses. Elena's confidence grew significantly following the successful engagement, but she remained focused on continuous improvement and learning from experienced soldiers like Morrison. She understood that one successful shot, while important, was just one element of becoming a truly effective combat sniper. The mission's success had broader implications for future operations in the region. Intelligence gathered during the engagement provided valuable information about insurgent tactics and movement patterns. Elena's detailed observations and reporting had contributed to a comprehensive understanding of enemy activities that would benefit ongoing coalition efforts. Staff Sergeant Williams observed the changed dynamics between Elena and Morrison with satisfaction. The successful resolution of their conflict through professional performance rather than disciplinary action had strengthened the unit and demonstrated the value of allowing soldiers to prove themselves through their actions. Elena's reputation as a sniper continued to grow throughout the remainder of her deployment. She was assigned to increasingly important missions and developed a track record of successful engagements that established her as one of the most effective snipers in the unit. Her methodical approach and technical expertise became the standard that other soldiers aspired to achieve. The Valley mission became a defining moment in Elena's military career, proving that her training, dedication, and professional approach could succeed under the most challenging combat conditions. Morrison's initial skepticism had been replaced by genuine respect for Elena's abilities and contribution to mission success. Elena's exceptional performance during the high-value target engagement had consequences that extended far beyond the immediate mission success. Word of her precision shot at 340 meters under combat conditions reached higher command levels and attracted attention from military leadership throughout the theater of operations. Her achievement was particularly notable because it demonstrated that recent advances in sniper training were producing soldiers capable of extraordinary performance in actual combat situations. The formal recognition came 3 weeks after the Valley mission. Elena was awarded the Bronze Star Medal for her actions during the engagement, recognizing both her technical excellence and the strategic impact of successfully eliminating a high-value target. The medal ceremony took place at Fobshank, with soldiers from multiple units present to witness the recognition of Elena's achievement. Morrison was among the soldiers present at the award ceremony, and his applause for Elena's recognition was genuine and enthusiastic. The veteran sniper had undergone a complete transformation in his attitude toward Elena, now openly praising her skills and recommending her for advanced assignments. His respect had been earned through performance rather than rank or reputation. Elena's success attracted the attention of sniper instructors back in the United States who were always looking for combat-proven examples to improve their training programs. Her methodical approach to weapon preparation, environmental calculation, and shot execution became case study material for future sniper students. The techniques she had developed were analyzed and incorporated into advanced training curricula. The broader impact of Elena's achievement extended to discussions about military integration and the role of women in combat specialties. Her success provided concrete evidence that gender was not a determining factor in sniper effectiveness, helping to support policy changes that would expand opportunities for qualified women in specialized military roles. Elena was selected for promotion to staff sergeant ahead of normal timelines, recognizing both her technical competence and emerging leadership capabilities. The early promotion placed her in positions of increased responsibility and authority, supervising newer soldiers and participating in mission planning at higher levels. Morrison requested to work with Elena on subsequent missions, recognizing that her methodical approach complemented his aggressive tactical instincts. Their partnership became highly effective, combining Morrison's combat experience with Elena's technical precision to create one of the most successful sniper teams in the theater. Elena's reputation spread beyond her immediate unit as other commanders requested her participation in complex missions requiring exceptional marksmanship skills. She was assigned to support Special Operations Forces on several occasions, working with elite units that demanded the highest levels of professional competence and tactical awareness. The Valley engagement became legendary within the sniper community, with details of Elena's shot being discussed in military schools and training facilities worldwide. The combination of extreme range, challenging conditions, and strategic importance made it a textbook example of sniper effectiveness in modern warfare. Elena used her growing reputation and influence to mentor younger soldiers entering sniper training programs. She understood the challenges faced by new snipers and worked to create supportive environments that emphasized technical excellence and professional development over personal conflicts and hazing. Her deployment to Afghanistan concluded, with Elena having completed 12 successful combat missions and earning recognition as one of the most effective snipers in her battalion. Her performance statistics included multiple confirmed engagements at extended ranges and 0 mission failures due to equipment problems or technical errors. Elena's return to the United States brought opportunities for advanced military education and specialized training assignments. She was selected for the sniper instructor course, preparing her to train future generations of military snipers using lessons learned from her combat experience and technical innovations. The relationship between Elena and Morrison evolved into a lasting professional friendship based on mutual respect and shared experiences. Morrison became one of Elena's strongest advocates for advanced assignments and leadership positions, recognizing that her combination of technical skill and professional maturity made her exceptionally valuable to military operations. Elena's story became part of military folklore, inspiring countless young soldiers to pursue sniper training and demonstrating that success in specialized military roles depended on dedication, preparation, and performance, rather than preconceived notions about capability or suitability. The techniques Elena developed for weapon preparation and environmental calculation were documented and shared throughout the military sniper community. Her methodical approach to equipment, maintenance, and shot preparation became standard practice for soldiers seeking to achieve consistent accuracy under combat conditions. Elena's achievement helped reshape military culture regarding integration and specialization, proving that diverse backgrounds and approaches could enhance unit effectiveness rather than compromise it. Her success demonstrated that the most important qualifications for specialized military roles were competence, dedication, and the ability to perform under pressure. Years later, Elena would look back on the Valley mission as the defining moment of her military career. The confrontation with Morrison and her subsequent performance had established her credibility and opened doors to opportunities that shaped her entire professional life. The quiet confidence that had carried her through sniper training had been validated in the most demanding circumstances possible. Elena's legacy extended far beyond her individual achievements to influence military training, policy, and culture in ways that would benefit future generations of soldiers. Her story became proof that excellence could emerge from unexpected sources and that the military's strength lay in recognizing and developing talent wherever it appeared. The transformation of Morrison from skeptical veteran to supportive mentor demonstrated that even experienced soldiers could learn and grow when confronted with exceptional performance and professionalism. Elena's approach had changed not just her own career trajectory, but had influenced the attitudes and perspectives of everyone who worked with her. Elena's journey from ranch girl to decorated sniper exemplified the opportunities available in modern military service for those willing to commit themselves to excellence and continuous improvement. Her story inspired countless others to pursue their own paths of service and achievement, regardless of the obstacles they might face along the way.